Hello, welcome to the Fit Fatherhood podcast. We are live for the first time in a couple weeks. Last week we did a pre-recorded one going over the challenge, and this is the first live that my co-host Nathaniel has been on in a few weeks between family stuff and travels, and then our one last week. Joining in, Nathaniel. It's always a pleasure.
Yeah, I'm glad to be here. I've been missing it. So I'm excited to be back.
Yeah, it's fun going solo every once in a while, but I get tired of hearing myself talk. So definitely glad to get another person's perspective and buy-in on things.
Well, and you did fantastic. We haven't talked about that, but you did excellent. The one you did by yourself, and then you did you went over the challenge with Jim and how it's been kind of transformational for him and opened his eyes to some things. And then so you're an excellent podcaster at this point.
Well, thank you. I'm working on it. It's been one of those things where you just got to do it consistently. I hated doing it at first. I felt like I sucked doing it at first, but it's a lot easier now. I wouldn't say I love it, and I wouldn't say that I'm a master at it, but definitely getting better. But that is not the topic of our conversation today. So we have talked a lot about goals in the past. So we want to put a different spin on things, specifically on like creating easy goals, right? So if you've ever set a big goal, like gotten all in on it, full steam ahead, excited, and then like after a week or two, it kind of just peters off into nowhere, and you're like, oh wait, like I don't really care about that goal, or whatever happened with that goal. Sometimes things just go away, whether it's the motivation or something pops up and you don't have time for it. But today we want to talk about easy goals, and more specifically, this got sparked from a book that I listened to. And I mentioned this in the school community that maybe we want to do a deep dive on eventually, but it's called All It Takes is a Goal. And that's by Jon Acuff. He is a public speaker. He has his own podcast with the same name. He's written a couple other books that are pretty good. But All It Takes is a Goal is just him breaking down his process on creating goals and how to better set them and keep track of them and why you're doing it the way that you're doing. So that's our topic for conversation today. That's something that I'm working on, is creating better goals, making goals more easily achievable, so that way I can build momentum and maintain them, and then determine, is this a goal that I want to continue with? So that being said, Nathaniel, do you have anything to add before we jump into what are easy goals?
No, I listened to the book as well, and I don't agree with all of it. But what we're going to talk about today, I 100%, I love it, and I agree with it wholeheartedly. So let's get into it. I don't want to.
Awesome. I was very curious to hear what you don't agree with, but that sounds like it's going to be our next episode, little teaser. Yeah. So if you want to know what Nathaniel does not like about this book, listen in next week. So really, I mean, easy goals are, again, just creating that momentum. I think a lot of times, I do it, especially overcomplicate things. I am, someone who wants to achieve a lot. And so I want to go full bore into something. And sometimes that makes me set goals or set things that I want to do on a daily basis that is maybe more than I have capacity for, whether that's time or just mental energy. And so the easy goal are these small, achievable, winnable actions that can build that confidence, consistency. And it's supposed to be something that you can do almost immediately, and especially within a 7-day time period. Like, what is the first thing that you have to do? Like, for example, going to the gym, right? With Fit Fatherhood, going to the gym, like, what's the first thing that you can do to build momentum? Some people might say, all right, let's build an action plan. We're going to do like the workout program. But really the first thing is do I want to join the gym? And if I want to join, let's use CrossFit just because that's what I do, like calling the coach or calling the owner of the gym and scheduling that initial meeting with them. Like, that's the first step. And that's something that you can kind of hit right away. And then what's the next one from there? All right, I talked to them. Now I can, buy a pair of shoes or whatever that might be. Just figuring out those quick, winnable goals that get you moving in the right direction.
Yeah. And, it's these little goals that we start with, because sometimes, as you mentioned kind of at the top of this, we shoot for these huge goals and we say, oh, it's going to take 2 hours a day for me to hit my goal weight. And maybe you do it for a week, maybe you do it for a few weeks, but eventually you burn out because you're starting to miss all those other things. And one thing that I really loved about these SMART goals, or these small goals, I feel like I'm very loud, but no. One is that you might try something for 3 days a week and never do it again. Right. He talks a lot about those in the book, is that maybe I'm trying to, something that's weighing on us right now is like setting ourself up for just in case something were to happen to Brittany and I, like setting the little things in place. And like, I'm going to do a bunch of research right now to figure out a trust and to figure out a will and stuff. And maybe that takes me a week, but then I'll never do that again, or not for a long period of time. So having these little small goals, like you said, that are a week or under, and maybe it's just 15 minutes a day, 10 minutes a day that I'm going to spend for the next week. And then it's going to be done. It's going to be off my plate. And so we talk about the little small actions and making small changes in fit fatherhood a lot, especially when it comes to like our nutrition and our exercise. If you can set yourself up 15 minutes a day and plan for the next day by making a small meal or something that is prepared for you the next day, it really creates these wins that are stackable now. And 15 minutes may turn into 30 minutes. It may not. Maybe all that you need is that 15 minutes. So I just really like that it makes it small, it makes it bite-sized, and it makes it easy to continue on. Or, hey, that wasn't working for me. Because it was only 15 minutes, it's not a big deal. I can plug something else in there that, maybe fits my lifestyle a little bit better.
Yeah, the short time period is super key. And the week, it's like, hey, now what, if I can't do this for a week, how did I expect myself to do it for a month, 3 months, or a year, So it's a good little test. Like, okay, we'll get proof of concept first, and then we can figure out what's next. And it's the small, easy, achievable things. It's, again, easy to overcomplicate it and get overly excited when things start. But a lot of times it's the simple things that are going to be the thing that gets you going and keeps you going, right? So we had a person in our school community who came in and was like, oh, I tried this, like it was meal plans, it was all laid out, like I just couldn't stick with it, it was too much, taking too much time. And we came up with just a simple suggestion, like, hey, let's just pick one meal, let's hit that, and started doing that. Super simple for him. And now he's got that momentum, he's doing it for more meals. He's, starting to get fuller from having those good meals and cutting things out. So it was just like that simple little tip that he took for a week or two, and that slowly has built into more and more progression and becoming easier, because again, it's keeping it simple, keeping it small, keeping it doable, and in small chunks of time with what he has to work with. And another thing in the book with the easy goals, he talks about it is something that should really only take up, forget, 2% of your week or 1% of your week, which he says is like 2 or 3 hours. So it's like one of these things where it shouldn't be this huge time suck. You talked about 15 minutes. What's something I can do in 15 minutes, right? And if I do that every day of the week, except for 7 days, it's an hour and a half, 2 hours. That's like 1% of my week. Like everybody can find 1% of their week, hopefully somewhere in there. Again, and it's in small increments.
Yeah. Not every goal that we set, and I not to harp on it, but like not all the small goals are going to turn into, he says, small, medium, and large goals. Medium goals are that like 30 days. Large goals are the ones that it's going to take us 6 months. It's going to take us a year, and we're going to spend a significant amount of time on it, right? Not all small goals turn into medium goals, and not all medium goals turn into big goals. And that's just the fact. Like, let's try some things out. Let's see what works, and let's go from there. And one thing that we're really keen on in Fit Fatherhood is, we want to set those huge goals, but we want to break them down into these small goals that we can test and iterate and figure out what works and what doesn't work. Like you mentioned, a couple of the people in the school community, in our Fit Fatherhood school community, we've had one-on-one coaching calls with, and like, hey, let's make this as simple as possible, because we're fitting all these things in to our already super busy lives. And so what are those where's that 1% that we can take out and plug in something that's going to actually make these actionable changes on, our existence, on ourselves and our families.
Yeah. So, how we've talked about them, but how can we start setting these goals? What can we start thinking about? And something that we're going to challenge you at the end, but something that I want to do as well is setting your own easy goals. So, he talks about the different areas of life. We've talked about the wheel of life before, where you have like career, you have finances, family, relationships. Pick an area in your life that you want to improve, and that makes sense for you in your different seasons of life, right? If you have young kids, we're targeting, fathers in that's our clientele who we really want to nail, because that's what we're working on too, is we're balancing all of that. So if family is something that you want to improve, whether that's relationship with your wife, relationship with your kids, be a better dad, be a better husband. If that's the area of your life or season that you're in of like being better in that, what's the one thing that you can start doing? What's that easy goal, that quick thing that you can start implementing to improve that relationship, right? Or maybe you're a little bit younger and you want to, improve your career. Like, all right, now I'm going to focus on my career. What's that career goal? What can you start doing there? So pick one of those categories and then pick one thing that you can start doing to implement that. As usual, we're always here to help bounce things off, because I think sometimes you get stuck in your own head, but pick that thing and then break it down into the smallest, easiest solution or the goal that we want to hit, and make it so easy that it's impossible for you to fail. I think that's the biggest thing, is like, when you're done with it, when you're looking at it, you should go, that's too easy. And that's exactly what you're looking for.
Yeah. It's funny. I was thinking about it because it's something that as soon as I heard it, I've implemented it. Is that it's a little unrelated, but it's kind of related. Is like kind of finding places that you can add something in. And he mentions brushing your teeth. It wasn't him that's doing it, but somebody he knows is brushes their teeth and stands on their one leg for balance. And I'm like, oh, I'm doing that. Like, what else? I'm just standing there. Otherwise, I sometimes would like sit down and kind of stretch while I'm brushing my teeth. But yeah, I'm getting older, and balance is something that is very important as we're aging. And so I'm going to start brushing my teeth and going on one leg. So I switch hands now just to get the left hand in there. But yeah, sorry. You kind of teased it there a little bit. If you're having trouble kind of figuring out what these goals are, these actions that we can do, these small little wins that we can make, come to our Zoom call. It's immediately after this. The link is in the chat currently. The link is in the YouTube description as well. And if you still can't find it, reach out to Zach or myself on Instagram or on Facebook, and we'll get it to you, because we want to help you guys out. This is why we started this. We've just get energized by talking to you guys, talking to people, and helping you get those little aha moments, like, oh, I can fit that in for sure here. It's simple, it's easy. Like Zach said, if you are thinking that it's too small and too simple, that's where you're on the right path. Like, let's make it very small and very simple, so we can always make it more difficult as we go along. I feel like I cut you off, Zach, but you know me at this point.
No, you did exactly what I expected you to.
Nice, yeah. Do you have anything else to add before we hop over to that Zoom call?
No, you tease the Zoom call. We have the Facebook group, which you can jump into, the school community, obviously, all of that stuff, and all our other videos that we have from previous podcasts. And then this Thursday, I have my nutrition talk every Thursday, or every other Thursday at 7:30. Cover different things. But this week we're talking about eating a balanced meal to kind of help fight hunger and stave that off a little bit longer. A lot of it's kind of repetitive, because honestly, getting healthier and fitter and eating better is pretty simple and kind of really, really boring. Like, unfortunately, it's not sexy, despite what Instagram tells you. So that's every other Thursday. You can register for those, get all the past recordings, all future recordings, all that stuff. So outside of that, if you need help, hop on our Tuesday night calls, and we'll see you over there.
Yeah, as always, it's a pleasure. If you're here live, thank you for joining us live. Leave a like or subscribe or follow wherever you're listening to. I know this is streaming in multiple places. We'll see you over in the Zoom call.
Thanks, guys.